is Nozeti. She used to come to this beach on the southeastern coast of South Africa to poach abalone and harvest mussels, alikrukel and oysters.
I was poaching because I was hungry. We were not having money. My husband was not having money, me either, because before I get married, I was working. Then when I get married, my husband doesn't want me to go to work. He just wants me to look after him. Then the mine sent him back home penniless. So there was no money to buy food. So I ended up doing the poaching so that I can feed my kids. It's better to poach than to go and steal somebody's things and do some other bad stuff. Like, I never even think of to be a prostitute. I was not happy to poach because although you are doing it, you're scared, and it was too risky to run. When the policemen are there, you have to run. You might break your leg while you are running, and it was dark at night, you fall, you bruise. So it was not nice. It was a very terrible thing. Our parents were growing us up with this sea. And my grandmother used to go there with us and collect and cook for us. At that time, there was no poaching or selling. People, they would just go and take for it. There was no rules like these modern days.
Nozeti's story is a common one. She lives in a poverty-stricken area where they once looked to the ocean to feed their families. But marine resources are declining, and conservation laws limit their harvesting activities, forcing them into often dangerous situations. Mussel harvesting in particular highlights the need to find a sustainable balance between providing poor communities with food and avoiding habitat destruction through overharvesting and harmful harvesting practices. Mussels live in a carefully balanced ecosystem. They are found in colonies attached to the rocks in the exposed wave crash zone, from the mid-intertidal area to a few meters underwater. It is here on the rocks that mussels are able to get both food and oxygen from the waves flowing over them. They provide food not only for humans, but other natural predators like birds and fish, and they help create an environment that is suitable for other species to thrive. For example, the red and green seaweed that grows next to mussels, which is a rich source of food for alikrukel. But most importantly, their environment is one that favors reproduction of mussels and the development of young mussels into reproductive adults, so that the life cycle repeats and repeats, ensuring that the colonies are constant and available on the rocky shore. In a perfect world, they should be able to continue living and providing humans and communities with a delicious source of food. But in recent years, as human activities on the shore increase, so mussel populations decrease, reducing the supply of food to the communities that eat them, and upsetting the delicate balance of the ecosystem surrounding mussels. This causes organisms and species to in turn either increase or decrease in a way that puts pressure on the survival of their own and other species. The mussel is a bivalve, meaning it has two shells that are split into valves that enclose the main body of the mussel. The shells support the soft inner tissue and protect the mussels from predators and from drying out. Attached to the shells are very strong threads called mussel beard that secures the mussels to the rocks. Mussels also have a foot that allows them limited movement on the rocks. The mussel has two siphons or openings that allow water and waste to flow in and out of the mussel for breathing, feeding and excretion. Water is siphoned into the large gills which act like a sieve. These gills collect oxygen and food from the water. Mussels feed on plankton and other microscopic sea creatures that float in seawater. Mussels have separate male and female individuals. The male mussel releases sperm cells into the water, and the female in turn releases her eggs. The sperm cells fertilize the eggs in the water, forming tiny little mussel larvae, which swim around in the water for about 3 weeks before they attach themselves as young mussels onto a hard surface and start growing into adults. It takes 6 months for them to mature into adults. Only then can they begin reproducing, and the mussel life cycle starts all over again. Because fertilization takes place in the ocean, it's important that mussels are found in clumps or colonies with male and female mussels close together. Clumping also protects the young mussels as they grow into adulthood by holding them firm against the waves. Not everyone recognizes that the mussel populations are declining, but shorelines and bare rocks are beginning to tell a different story. In areas that are unprotected, edible mussels are becoming harder and harder to find as the easily accessible ones are removed from the rocks, and mussel harvesting is becoming an activity that is only possible at spring tides when the deeper rocks are exposed and in dangerous conditions as the harvesters have to find them in the wave crash zones and underwater.
Yes, there were a lot more. There are still more now, but the problem is that they are deep in the sea. It is dangerous because the waves are huge. You can be taken away by the wave, you can fall, you can break your waist, you can break a leg.
Traditional harvesting practices, which developed when there was a plentiful supply of mussels, included scraping the rocks clean with spades and large blunt instruments, which took everything off the rocks, both the adult and young mussels, as well as other organisms and seaweed. In scraping the rocks bare, the entire habitat and ecosystem started changing, making it a hostile environment for mussels. In place of the nutrient-rich algae that feeds the ecosystem, a hard coralline algae, which is very poor in nutrients, grows instead. Shingle worms invade the coralline algae, and the rocks become an unstable environment for the baby mussels to grow on. They also have no adult mussels to protect them, and they are unable to form tight clumps of colonies that assist in reproduction. But these harvesting methods have been used for centuries. So what has changed, and why are mussel populations now threatened? Human populations are expanding, creating competition for food and resources, and in rural areas there is a widespread decline of agricultural production. So there's a higher concentration of mussel collectors on the beaches. And in rural households, where there is poverty, illnesses like AIDS and migration of parents to cities, there is often only one provider in a huge household of 10 or more people. And so pressure is put on the marine resources to provide food and an income. This harvester has a huge household and only one regular income.
We have a family of 16. Yeah. My father got a pension. Yes, only my father was will get a pension.
And she is only allowed a very limited number of mussels with a harvesting permit.
The law doesn't allow us to get in the sea without a license.
The nature conservation officers, together with the MCM, they do come and check and count again. The permit, it costs 75 rands for 12 months for the permit to do the harvesting. And it tells you the amount you have to take. You have to count 25 per day.
But when that quota is per family per day, there's often too many mouths to feed and not enough mussels.
Use too many. Maybe today I'm not going to cook that head. I will put it there or on a fridge so that tomorrow can I get another one so that we can satisfy us.
But the number that is on the permit, it's so small, it couldn't. We need more than the one in the permit.
But permits are very effective in both raising awareness about the need for conservation and as an excellent tool to manage overfishing and overharvesting. Apart from permit quotas, harvesters follow other conservation guidelines, like using a screwdriver to individually pick mussels off the rocks and following size limit rules.
We are not allowed to take the very small ones, so we take the right size, so that you leave the small ones so that they can grow again.
Further up the coast is the Isimangaliso Wetlands Park. It's a World Heritage Site and protected area where mussel harvesting is successful because of the careful conservation practices in place.
Together with the community, we work together to protect our resources. Protection doesn't mean they cannot be used, but it means we need to look at strong policies that will have a buy-in from the communities by consulting them and be with them when you're formulating these things to say, look, this is our resources, we're living through them, and for us to be able to live even tomorrow and the next generation, we need to make sure that we do not finish them completely.
She's saying that before KZN came into being, the mussels were almost finished in this area. They weren't so, and she said if they hadn't come in, probably there wouldn't be mussels today. So when they came in, they taught them this new method of picking them up. If they go into a certain whatever rocky area and they pick up or they harvest too much, then they also have the responsibility of replanting or regrowing these mussels wherever they have over-harvested.
Mussel rehabilitation and conservation has worked at Isimangaliso because of the support and training the community have received, together with the park authorities. But Nozeti's community don't have the same infrastructure.
Because of laws and staff and the lack of communication and the lack of where to go to find the right people to do it. We were trying to have a mussel project that we can plant the mussels here where people, they don't get deep into the water. It's very easy to do it because you just stick those places, they will go and stay there, then they grow. It's very easy to grow them.
Because of this, traditional harvesters are looking for other alternatives to earning an income. Like Nozeti, she's realized that she has a talent as an artist and now works for the Keiskammer Arts Trust. Initiated by local doctor and artist Carol Hofmeyer, the trust trains women to hand embroider beautiful works of art that depict their lives.
And then I didn't know that I'm an artist. I ended up being an artist. I never go to school to do art, but I'm doing the artworks that is all over the world. Everywhere you go, you will see my cows.
The community is also focusing on growing vegetables and raising small livestock so that they have alternative food sources. Because it is only once everyone buys into the need for conservation and once guidelines are carefully followed that mussel colonies will start to grow back on these barren rocks, so that in years to come, the future generations will be able to harvest mussels and delicious seafood for their families.